Hi everyone, my name is Ola Aris and I am a sales entrepreneur and I'm very passionate about all things related to entrepreneurship, achieving goals, breaking out of glass ceilings. I'm all about that kind of stuff and I really love those. So today I'm going to be doing a review of Grant Cardone's 10x rule. That's, oops. Book here. So the author's name is Grant Cardone, and believe it or not, I only got to reading this book this year, and yeah, it's like living, it's like living under the stone. So I do blame it on the internet. Actually, I'm not supposed to blame it on anyone. Okay, I'll blame it on myself. That's my fault. So I am going to be doing a review of this book because I recently picked this book up on Audible. I listened to it and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so awesome. Like, where have I been? Because one of my colleagues actually um, recommended the book to me and said to me, you don't know who Grant Cardone is? You don't know who Grant Cardone is? And I was like, you saying it so many times doesn't mean that I know who Grant Cardone is, you know? So it was like, you need to check Grant Cardone out because you are like living under a rock, which is kind of true. So I started listening to the audiobook and it was awesome. And there were even times that I was listening to the book and I started getting anxiety, like panicking just by him reading the book, which is also like a big plus because I just really love like Grant's energy, and so when he talks, like that's like really when he was reading the book, I was like, "Ooh, that's awesome!" Because then I can actually picture him talking to me directly. So I had to go ahead and get like the hard copy because I just believe this is one book that everyone needs to have in the library if you're an entrepreneur or you're a person who sets goals and you want to reach those goals. This is definitely a book you want to have in your library to go back to over and over. And even though I don't really read books as much anymore, I prefer to listen to them because then I can like multitask. I still wanted to buy this book because at the end of each chapter, like I don't know if you guys can see that, there's like exercises at the end of every chapter, and I wanted to do that and be able to like just flip through it whenever I felt like. So yeah, so to get into like the review of the book, I'm just going to be looking down because my iPad is here and it's got like all the points that I want to talk about regarding the review of the book. So if I keep looking down, just know that that's the reason why I'm looking down. Okay, so the first thing that I learned from the book is the fact that you should write your goals down first thing in the morning and the last thing before you go to bed. And this is so important because a lot of us, I know me, that you write your goals down like December 31st and say, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do like this whole year, and you don't even review it back again all through the year, or you review it like once or twice during the year. That's not enough because it's not putting it right in front of your eye to say that this is what I want to achieve and how am I getting there, what am I doing to actually get there. So that's the one thing that I find like really important in the book. So now at the end of the day, it's all about implementation, right? So I've gone to like buy like this little journals that I can just put on my bedside, in my office, in my car. So if ever at any point I'm not being productive, I'm just sitting down, I can like literally scroll through that and just be like, oh okay, I'm gonna write my goals down because it keeps it fresh in my mind and gives me like a direction as to where I'm going and how I want to get there, So yeah, so that's the first thing. And the next thing that he spoke about, like that's on my list, is 10x goals and 10x activities. So I mean, I might not say it exactly the way he said it. This is just the way it comes up in my head. So Grant was talking about that you have to set goals that are big, goals that are massive, that there's no point for you to set goals that are um, reasonable, because everyone always tells you, oh, you're like, just set like goals that are reasonable and achievable. But there's no point in you setting a goal that is that is realistic, because a lot of time, what motivates you to actually work towards those goals, towards your goal, is the fact that you feel like, oh my goodness, how am I even going to like achieve this? That you shouldn't. Sorry, I'm repeating myself now. The what actually prompts you to take actions on your goals is that your goals should be so massive that the reward of coming from it should be enough motivation for you to be like, you know what, I gotta put in the hours, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, because it's massive the amount of payoff that will come from that goal should you achieve it. So that was like really, really important for me. And there was a part in the book where he was saying that why are you setting tiny goals? You're not a mouse. Why are you setting like itty bitty little goals? That was so funny, but so true. It's like if you're going to, and I learned this from Dan Lok, that if you're going to work anyway, why don't you work towards something that is really gonna like pay off, you know, because it's the same amount of work. And I know this from being like a from previous businesses that I've done, that when I start analyzing things and I'm looking at, okay, so I spent this amount of hours here, and this person working at, say, Reckitt Beckinsale, or like a company that's like a software company, they spend the same amount of hours as I do. But if my goals aren't as big or as ginormous as them, I'm still spending the same amount of time. So the only problem is me not setting a high enough goal. And if I don't set an high enough goal, like how exactly are you going to reach there? The people who reach there, it's because they are setting those goals, and those goals motivate them, and hence the reason why they do what they do. And to stack on top of that, so if you set in 10x goals, so let's say, for example, that your goal is to make like $1,000 a month, right? Not like that can pay for anything, but let's say that your goal is to make $1,000 a month. You want to make that goal times 10, which means that your new goal needs to be $10,000 per month. And for you to be able to do that, you need to say, okay, what am I doing now? Like from 8 a.m. or from 6 a.m. in the morning to like when I go to bed. You need to 10x that, like 10x your actions. And the way you do that is not by, according to Grant, is not by like trying to figure it out first. You need to commit first, and then you figure it out later. As long as that action is in line with the goals that you have, you need to commit first and figure it out later. So that's it about the 10x goal. So if you have a goal, you multiply it by 10, and your activities as well, you have to multiply it by 10. So he said that a lot of people, which brings us to the next point, actually, as the 4 degrees of action, that a lot of people in our society, that we have 4 levels of actions, right? So we've got 4 levels of action. The 2 where people are basically like not doing anything, you know, and the 3rd level of action, which is what society deems as acceptable, and as it's like you're doing something but like you don't want to burn out, you're just doing it like so that it doesn't look like you're not doing anything, right? And the 4th level of action, the 4th level of action is massive action. You get to work, like massive action. You taking action, 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 action. And I think if you've actually read his Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average, which I also, I've got that in an audio book as well. It actually speaks a lot with the 4th level of action, because for Grant Cardone, even when he's having dinner with his wife, he's actually working. So that is action on another level, you know. So Yes, so it's a fourth degree of action where you have to take massive amounts of action, not just like itty bitty action. Say, for example, you know that you need to call like a manager of a company or like some multi-millionaire for an idea that you are. You can't like just sit down and be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna write a script out and I'm going to like figure all of these things out before I call the person. No, you need to pick up the phone, just call. That is fourth level of action. I know that's scary, but it's just I've learned from actually listening to him that a lot of the things that he said, obviously, like he's a multi-million, he's got a flipping jet, so obviously it works, and that's why I definitely believe what he says. So yeah, that's it for the fourth level of action, and yes, I love that one. Assume responsibility for everything. Hmm. So this, he was talking in the book about like assuming responsibility for everything, which means that for everything that goes wrong or right or whatever in your life, in your business, and your relationship, it's you. The common factor is you. And even though everything might not be your fault, like we know that logically, right? Because now, let's say, for example, well, I live in South Africa and say, like, ESCOM takes the electricity, which they're doing quite a lot. um, it's your fault if you're not able to get work done because now ESCOM is taking electricity, because you could have planned earlier to say, okay, I'm gonna have my laptop charged, or I'm not gonna be in this area when this load shedding is going to happen, or I'm going to plan my day in such a way that if I know that they're already going to have a load shedding, I'm not gonna be working in this area at that time because it's not productive for me. I'm gonna go like somewhere else and get my work done. So basically just assuming responsibility for everything, because that puts you in control. And if you're in control, you are able to control your actions. But if you're not in, if you blame someone else, let's say you blame Bob or you blame John or you blame Fatu or you blame like other people, right? It takes you out of control. And when you're out of control, your whole world, well, you just like leaving control to other people. But if you assume control for everything, you are going to do everything that you can to make sure that those things go according to your plans and your goals. Oh, yes. Okay. Success is my duty. I love this one. I read his book, Be Obsessed or Be Average, and he spoke a lot more about that in there. So it's like success is my duty, it's my obligation, it's my responsibility. Um, and until you get that into your head, you are not going to be a 10x action kind of person, because you don't believe that you deserve it, if that makes sense. Fear is a great indicator, which means that whenever you're fearful of something, like something scares you, you need to walk towards that thing, because it means that you live in your comfort zone and you're going toward that thing that you fear, which you've never actually done. You need to just go do it and get it done, and let's see what's going to happen by doing it, right? I know that sounds like exciting. I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I love that. um, yes, so obsession is a gift that he talks more about in his book, Be Obsessed or Be Average. I just like binge listen to like everything. His Be Obsessed or Be Average. If you're not first, you're last, and the 10x rule. So sometimes it might be that I'm like intertwining everything, because the thing about Grant is that I think everything he talks about, even in all of his books, they're all the same thing, but he says it in like different ways. So you can tell that this is just how he thinks. So in a particular book, it can go more about like action. Let's say like the 10x rule is like that. It's like action. Be obsessed or be average. Was talking. It's more about the mindset. If you're not first, you're last is also mindset. Basically, like how you should eliminate competition. Basically, expand, never contract. Ooh. I love that one. It's when you set your goal and then like, does this ever happen to you guys? Because it used to happens to me when you set your goal like the 31st of December and you're like, I'm going to do this, do this, do this, do this. And then it comes like July and you're like, oh, don't look like I'm gonna like hit those goals. And then you try to like, oh, even if I can achieve that, that's fine. I'm just gonna like do this instead. You should never, ever, ever do that. Once you set a goal, you don't contract on that goal. You don't lower the goal. You don't lower the target. You need to do 10x what you're doing. Because for it to actually come onto your mind, it means that you can do it, right? But now you are thinking of like all the other external factors and you're thinking, oh, okay, maybe I might not be able to achieve this. Let me just take it down a little bit so that it's realistic. Don't ever do that, according to Grant Cardone. That is an average thing, which is a whole different topic. Because he believes that average is a feeling formula, which I do subscribe to that belief as well. That if you're gonna be excellent, be excellent. If you don't want to be excellent, don't be excellent. But don't be like in the middle, like lukewarm. So yeah. Also, the other part is like play to dominate, not to compete. So that's also like 10x, which means that when you like competing with like people in your industry, you shouldn't play to say, oh yeah, Bob is doing that, I'm just gonna do like incrementally what Bob is doing. You should do exponentially better than Bob. That's the goals you should be setting for yourself, not to be saying, oh yeah, I'm just gonna compete with Bob. Like, Bob isn't you, and if Bob doesn't need those things, well, that's Bob. Doesn't mean that that's you. Yeah. I think we're coming to the end of it. Oh, the last one is the burning out one. I love this one, and actually, like, I think I'm gonna buy my mom this book just because. Uh, oh, this is funny. So she'll be like, "Oh, you're working so hard. Like, why are you working so hard? Like, you take it down a notch. Don't work so hard. Life isn't all about like money or making money and that kind of stuff." Which I disagree with. I mean, she's my mom, but I disagree with her because if you're gonna have a good life, yes, you need to make money because we live on an economic planet. So for you to be able to like parent, do this, do that, and like create wealth for you and your family, yes, money is important, and I love money. Money loves me. I'm never gonna apologize for that. So I totally agree with Grant on that. And when he said that, that actually hit the nail on the head for me because I've always wondered that am I the only one that there's something wrong with around me? Like, why can't I like just relax, So, from him saying that, it just gives me affirmation to say that, okay, you know what, I'm not the only crazy person out there. There are also other people who believes in this thing that, being obsessed. So that is great. So that's all in all the overview of the book. All in all, I would give this book 10 over 10. If there was 11 or 15, I would say 15 over 10. Everyone who is an entrepreneur or who wants to like make something out of their life and wants to like achieve their goals, they need to pick this book up. You need to like read this. You need to like not just read this book. You need to like imbibe it and like just literally practice it, implement it, and it's an awesome, awesome book. I'm actually thinking I'm gonna buy a couple of this and donate it to libraries for kids that are less privileged. And I haven't heard about Grant Cardone till like 2019. Like, that actually absolutely kills me, but it's good because now I've read the book and I just want to share that because a lot of people need to know about that. So yeah, that's it for me basically. And yeah, I don't know what my channel is gonna be about yet, but I'm trying to figure it out and just taking it one step at a go. But I wanted to do a review of this book. It's an awesome book, and if you guys have any idea for videos for me, you can always like put a link below or just suggest the name of the book. yeah, so that's it for me. Until next time, see you guys and have a wonderful weekend, afternoon, whatever. Okay, bye.